Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I was recently cleaning out a car, and the way you only do when you're getting ready to sell it. And in this little nook and cranny of the car, one of those pockets that only a young child would actually find and hide things in, I in fact found a pile of green cards and forests. It turns out I had found a deck that my son had constructed probably when he was in early junior high, maybe 6th grade. And of course that brought back a flood of memories and nostalgia. And it also really got me thinking about elementary deck construction. The way you put cards together to try and come together with a winning strategy and a winning deck. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, did you know that most YouTube viewers never end up subscribing to channels, even the ones they watch the most? So let me invite you to take this opportunity to subscribe to the Planeswalker Stronghold for all sorts of budget, free-to-play, and new player experience focused content, so you don't have to miss out on a thing. Welcome to the Stronghold. Boy, I think that's the longest intro I ever recorded. At any rate, one of the things that I want to talk about in this video is Arena's design of expectation regarding how your collection will be made up as far as the different cards that they expect to be in there. Roughly, they would expect a fairly new player or even a fairly well-established player to have a certain makeup of their collection. A little over 60% of those are expected to be commons, another 25% for uncommons, roughly 10% for rares, and only about 2% for mythics. And if you just open packs, in the long run, it's going to be hard for you to deviate from these expected norms. There are certainly ways to do it, and in fact that's one of the main focuses that we talk about on this channel, is how to overcome those pre-derived expectations and push the quality of your card collection more in the rare and mythic direction. Now, given that the majority of cards that you are going to own, roughly 75%, are going to be commons and uncommons, the way you have to put those cards together is in particular to look for uncommons that either have a pushed power level, meaning they do more than a typical uncommon, or that synergize well with the other cards in your deck, allowing for a situation where the deck total is worth more than the sum of its parts. And lastly, I want to talk about guidelines for general deck construction. And I say guidelines not because I'm a Walt Disney sponsored pirate, but because they really are guidelines rather than hard, fast rules. For instance, typically for a best of one deck, 23 lands is kind of the sweet spot. And as you can see in our mono green example, they actually started you out with 25 lands. Secondly, you want to have 20 to 22 creatures in there representing your threats. In mono green, those threats are almost always going to be creatures, but there are certainly going to be times where we talk about decks that the threat base has little or nothing to do with creatures. Now that leaves roughly 16 cards for everything else, like your instants, your sorceries, artifacts, planeswalkers, enchantments. All of that has to be fit into those roughly 16 remaining cards. And the reason for that is you really want to stick to that 60 card minimum. There's a reason that Magic in general has a lot more focus on card minimums for construction rather than maximums. In fact, in paper Magic, there is no maximum deck size. And this really comes down to basic statistics. And I won't bore you with a bunch of math or break it down with too much complication for individual draws. But if we think about putting 4 copies of our favorite card in a deck, regardless of what that card is, that means that for every card we draw, you have a roughly 1 in 15 or about 6% chance of drawing your favorite card. For every card we put in above 60, that percentage starts to drop further and further and further down. So statistically, by sticking to the minimum, you're more likely to draw the cards that you really want to draw in order to win the game. And if you have built your deck correctly, all of the cards in your deck help focus on that goal of winning. And you don't want to dilute it with things that are less focused on that goal. Now, some other concepts to keep in mind as you're building those first few decks are the ideas of card advantage, synergy, mana curve, and threat density. And while we've touched on those a little bit here, and we will continue to touch on those in other videos, those are larger concepts that will help build your decks in more productive manners as you continue to evolve as a Magic player. And whether you're brand new to Arena or brand new to Magic altogether, these are concepts that the better you understand them, the better your deck construction will get. So we will continue to talk about those over time. Now, that having been said, let me take this opportunity to invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. It's the budget way to support the channel so we can reach even more of our budget brethren out there. Do it for Graham, do it for the algorithm, do it for the iced coffee. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.